Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Sports with Warbs. This is the official first video going up on the channel. It is a basketball video. I said I was gonna, keep it fresh. I know a lot of you guys are hockey subscribers, but we've been doing a lot of hockey stuff with John over on his channel with the podcast, still doing that every week. We're going to be continuing that anyway into the new year, so that'll be good. So I kind of just wanted to switch it up, make sure I could show my versatility, but I brought in one of my buddies, Chris, who was also in my program. Me and him pretty much talked basketball since I got into the program. He's always been the go-to guy when the Raptors made their run in 2019, during all the offseason, the drafts. I had to bring him in here. It's kind of like just good vibes during the first video. So the first video today, we're just going to be talking about the Raps. This will be just a Raptors video going over the additions they made this offseason, some of the key departures, which there was some key ones for them, and then kind of the rest of the conference where they line up. Obviously they just got out of the bubble. We can kind of start with that, Chris. I mean, I'll get your feelings. They got out of the bubble. I mean, it can be kind of disappointing. People can look at it to be disappointed. They didn't really come through in the clutch. They had a kind of a tough series there where they got eliminated. They had the one great game with OG and the buzzer beater, obviously, but overall it was kind of tough for them going up against Boston. And then, I don't know. What were your thoughts on kind of the whole bubble experience for the team?
I mean, in general, it was kind of crazy. Like, I'm not sure if you saw, but there was a survey where like around 20% of fans didn't even count this as like a real championship because of like the huge asterisk around it. And to be honest, I count this as a championship, at least for the Lakers and everyone who was involved. Like, this was legitimate playoffs, but like no fans, just different intensity. Being locked up in a bubble, the motivation's different. I know it added a different component to winning this year, but I don't know. This has got the biggest asterisk out of them all for me. I don't know what to say about playing with no fans, especially in playoffs like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. For me, there isn't really like too much of an asterisk because like at the end of the day, it was kind of like maybe not as much in the NBA, more the NHL, but it was kind of like harder for them. Like they needed to get like the teams that were already in. So that's where it kind of differs from the NHL. But like there was good teams competing, as we're going to talk about later, like the Suns, like who were trying to make a run, and like you didn't know who you were playing. I mean, I don't know. It was really weird. I don't know. I don't think there's too much of an asterisk. They still put in the work. It was a long, grueling playoffs for them, and they got their championship. But I don't know. The way I kind of felt about it was like same thing with the Dodgers in baseball. It's like, and honestly, Tampa in hockey, it's like they deserved it. Give them their title. They won it fair and square. Next year will be a different story, and we'll see. But the Lakers are still looking good for next year. So.
Oh my God, they're looking. The Lakers are actually looking insane next year. I know there's a little part of you that loves the Lakers, and they look really good now. They look really good.
Yeah, we'll kind of get into depth about them in the full NBA kind of wrap up video. But today we're here to talk about the Raps. I got my Raps merch on. I know I got all the other stuff in the background. I need to up the Raps game in the back, especially with basketball starting. Also, today is the first day of college basketball season, so that's exciting too. I mean, not really related to the Raps or the NBA, but I'm excited for that. And maybe we'll see some videos on that as it kind of gets into crunch time if we see a March Madness this year too. But anyway, so I kind of just wanted to start here with the additions. Obviously, the biggest addition, it was kind of the top priority. Everyone knew it was Fred VanVleet, re-signed 4 years, 85 mil, 21.25 a year. Last year, 54 games started. Every game he played in, he started. 17.6 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, and 6.6 assists per game. So coming off that big 2019 playoff victory, what were your thoughts on VanVleet last year and kind of like how he took on that bigger role, obviously starting every game?
I liked him a lot in a bigger role, especially with Kyle Lowry getting older. I think the biggest thing for him, he's crafty. He's invaluable to the Raptors because of his leadership. He's literally Kyle Lowry 2.0, except without the playmaking. So I think that he's really developed into his own. He's a great scorer off the pick and roll. If you need him catch and shoot, he can do that. But then my problem is sometimes he likes to take a little bit too much time on the ball, force things. His playmaking isn't exactly there yet. And I think that's why you saw us draft Malachi Flynn, someone who's a little better in the pick and roll, a better playmaker. He fits into our system nicely. And I think overall, signing him this year was a priority just so we can have some continuity and a little replacement for Lowry. And I think he's the leader and staple of this team at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what I liked about it when I first saw it, like the first thing I thought about was the money. Like, did they give him a max? Because that was the only thing I was kind of worried about. Because they were tossing around that like the Knicks might try to max him, and like teams were going to be chasing him. And 21.25. I mean, that's going to probably be a good deal for. I mean, they signed Siakam to that giant deal, which is its own. We can kind of touch on that. It's its own entity on the team, I guess you could say. And then they got Lowry with 30 mil this upcoming year. So it was really important for them to get this signing done. But I don't know. I like the term and like the money. I mean, that was the best part, I think, for them. They didn't need to max him. But he'll be key. Like you said, the leadership's a huge part of him. What was it when I was watching those playoff games though, it was like, I know there's the whole thing about him going into like dad mode, you know, like when he had his kid and then he just
Freddie
popped up.
Senior.
But like, what'd you think about like his shooting in these playoffs? It wasn't great, was it? Like, I mean, it was a couple months ago, but that was a little worrisome. Like, if we're actually gonna compete, especially with how good the East is now, like compared to previous years when it was just like LeBron, like it kind of seems like they're gonna need him to step up big and like and be reliable. I'm a little more reliable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, I think that you could say that about 90% of the team after last year's playoffs. Like you could see, obviously Siakam, it happened with Freddie, it happened with even Gasol. Like you saw all of our star players and starters almost kind of fall into this shell. Like, I mean, and it's kind of understandable considering the year everyone had. So I don't know if we're going to look at the contract and base Freddie on any numbers. I wouldn't want to do it for any bubble numbers because, like, for me, the real game, like when there were fans, before everything shut down, how he won that championship for us the year before. He proved that he was an asset on this team. And I think everybody likes to be revisionist history, look at that a lot and say, oh, well, he didn't do this last year. He wasn't this last year. Well, it's like, what did he do the year before that? What did he do to contribute to us winning a championship? And
yeah, he
still
huge.
Got it.
Yeah, they needed to sign him. Like if they would have lost him and like some of the other departures we'll get into in a second, like it would have been even more of a backbreaker.
Yeah, we're dogs, man. We're dogs. That's what Toronto is.
Yeah, it's true, bro. So anyway,
you lose part of it.
Anyway, we're feeling good about that contract, especially he'll probably take a step forward again. I mean, next year, Lowry's probably on his way, not out or maybe re-signed to try to finish his career, but who knows?
Do you think he stays? Kyle,
I think if they have the chance to sign Giannis, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. It's funny you say that because I saw on my Twitter timeline the other day for the first time, everyone's like, all right, now that Freddie signed, like, what does this mean for Kyle? Because, like, there's not a whole lot of room coming up.
Yeah, like he's getting up there. 30 mil is a lot of money to like, you know, like they can't commit that again. So we'll see. But anyway, so we'll get into some of the departures in a second. But another addition, Aron Baynes. I mean, obviously he's replacing some key players in Ibaka and Gasol. But 2 years, 14.3 mil, 7.5 a year, 42 games played, 11.5 points per game. 5.6 rebounds per game and 1.6 assists per game. I mean, he's definitely a different player than what those two guys were. 48% from the field, 35% in threes, and 4 attempts per game. He didn't play in the bubble. He had COVID, so that wasn't great. But I don't know. What do you think of this signing? I mean, this is obviously a replacement signing. Do you think it was a panic signing actually once they lost their guys?
I don't know if it was much more of a panic thing, but rather plan C. I think Mazai was thinking about, he was signing up Fred. Once he figured out what he was doing with that, it was Ibaka. And then when Ibaka was gone, immediately we signed Aron Baynes and Chris Boucher within like literally 3 minutes of each other, according to like reports. But I think it's an okay signing. And when you look at our contract situation, it's less money than what Ibaka would have taken. We did give him 2 years, but
Hmm.
that's an asset that it doesn't really affect the cap that much when you're trying to get a player like Giannis. He's good enough to where when you're losing kind of developing players this year and not trying to fully win, that you're still competitive. And I think that's good for the team as long as he can space the floor and he's kind of aggressive, likes to set a lot of hard screens, and that's a lot of things that Lowry likes, high intensity player. And for the money he's at, I mean, I'm not going to complain because like there weren't
Yeah.
many options open. Like unless you're looking
Hmm.
at signing an injury prone Harry Giles, who ended up signing for a decent amount somewhere else. And our other option would have been like what Montrezl Harrell for like
Yeah.
how much 20 mil 2 years. It would not have
Yeah.
been worth it for us.
Yeah.
So I think Aron Baynes is like the perfect fit almost, where he's
Yeah.
not quite good enough, but he meets the criteria, and you just throw him in there, and whatever happens
Yeah.
this year
It's
happens.
kind of hard to complain about like signing a guy like 2 years, 14.3 mil. Like in the NBA, like that's not really big money at all. Like we'll see.
No,
You just hope he like comes in and does well. I mean, so yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's got big shoes to fill, especially in the hearts of Toronto fans. You know what I mean? With
yeah,
those two guys leaving. But you mentioned Chris
yeah,
Boucher
Ibaka.
there. That was the next player I had. 2 years, 13.5. He had a good year last year, kind of looking to build on that success. This is like what the Raps do. They like pluck these guys. Obviously Davis is the guy who we're not sure his future, but he was kind of another one. But Chris Boucher, he was a safe bet. I mean, they got that contract done pretty nice. It'll be good
Hmm.
to see him take that next step. You like what you saw last year with him?
Yes, yes and no. I mean, the money was right. I mean, it was perfect because you just signed a guy to a pretty cheap deal. He's been with the team. He's Canadian. We're thin at the forward spot, so like you check off all the
Mm-hmm.
check boxes, and you'd be like, I'm happy with that one. But
Yeah.
I think the thing is with him is he's pretty lean. He tore his ACL in college, so I don't know if that affects his athleticism a lot as a big man. So I kind of want to see him take on the next role for us, and he's going to get an opportunity to outplay his contract this year because it's not necessarily a big one. Worst case, if he doesn't, he's not guaranteed any money. You can throw him in as part of a trade filler if you need to, if you're trying to make more cap space, find
Mm-hmm.
different assets. If you are looking at pursuing Giannis or Plan B, whatever that may be in 21. So I think it's pretty good. It's a really good contract for the Raptors because worst case, if Chris does outplay, what is it, 14 million, 2 years around that,
13.5 mil. So yeah.
you've got a
Uh,
bargain there for the second season if he plays well this season, and you don't necessarily have to give him up. And it's something to play for him. The Raptors need him to pick it up, so I think it's a good opportunity for everyone here.
all right. Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's like one of those guys you're just happy it kind of gets done. You see where it goes. He's not getting paid that much, so it's like, all right, cool. Let's see what you can do. And then the final addition, I just wanted to talk about was their first round pick. It was like the first time the Raps picked in the first round in years.
Mm-hmm.
They would always trade it away. Like obviously, when you're a top team, you kind of get rid of your picks. Like you're not really focused on that. But yeah, Malachi Flynn drafted 29th overall. Lowry's replacement. I said maybe potentially. San Diego State was sixth in national rankings when the season got shut down. Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year in the Mountain West. Shoot off the dribble, great in pick and roll, and he shoots the three. So, I mean, it seems like they got a good player. I mean, 29, you're not going to be. I don't think you're going to be getting like steals, but Siakam, he got drafted late, didn't he? And then he ended up being a steal. So you never
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I don't know. It's good to see. I
Uh,
mean, yeah.
I do think this is a little different from Siakam. Siakam was definitely more of a raw prospect, but I think what you're going to see with Malachi here is his highest ceiling is I don't even think a regular starter, a depth starter you can put in with injuries or when you need him to, whatever comes up. But I think where you're going to see him with the Raptors is come in as like a seventh man type of role as guard. I think he offers something that none of the Raptors currently offer on the bench. Norman Powell is an ISO scorer. He can be an athletic wing. When you think of names who are guards on the Raptors, outside of Freddie and Lowry, no one comes to mind, or not someone capable of running an offense. And I think you could also debate Fred isn't on his own right good enough to run his own
Right.
offense, not as the main ball handler at times. So I think Malachi really fits that role. It's a good environment for him to step in because we are starting to look at our guard position who are not or younger than 26, and you don't see a whole lot right now. So I think that's a pretty good draft pick,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be a hustler. He's gonna be those blue collar hustlers.
They drafted for need. It was the right call. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I
So
could have just said that. It's a good way to put it.
no, that's good. So then just getting into the departures real quick. Obviously Ibaka, I've always been an Ibaka fan. Even before he was even good, man. When he played on the Thunder, I liked him like way back in the day with Durant and them. So I was happy to see when the Raptors got him. He kind of got some hate at the start and then he really picked up his game. They won the title and now everyone's crying about him leaving. I'm like, bro,
it's funny you say that. I remember because I was thinking when he left, I'm like, man, I used to give this guy so much flack. I remember LeBron. You remember when he spin the ball in his face and Ibaka's just standing there like that. I remember I wanted to rip my hair out and we got
people did not like him.
No, I didn't like. I was one of those people.
Do you remember how I just kind of like I don't know. I said it like kind of as a meme, but I also just like I kind of liked him and like I thought he was a valuable player. I played a ton of 2K GM mode at that point, so I was really dialed in on like those players that you kind of like pick up for a year, and I was just like, I like Ibaka. When they got him, and it turned out to be a championship, and now like the hearts of Raptors fans are broken. But anyway, I'll stop pumping my own tires about the Ibaka love, but yeah.
The Clippers stole him too, though.
I know, bro. Do you think Kawhi had a hand in that? He must have.
I think he did.
Key part of the front court, to the team, obviously. Lost to the Clippers on a 2-year, $19 million deal. So what is that, like 5.7 less than what we signed Baynes for? It kind of hurts, but looks like he's chasing another title along with Gasol.
But the thing though with that is the second year deals is what was kind of hurting us because with like Serge Ibaka, you're not going to commit long term to, especially cap flexibility at his age, that it almost makes sense to say for us like, okay, we'll give you this much first year and preferably just that, and we'll see where things are next year. Or if there was a second year, it probably would have been relatively cheap or something that the Clippers and other contenders can give them. So
I guess it makes sense. Still hurts though. And then the second big man, Gasol. This guy came in at the trade deadline of the championship season. That's correct, right? He got okay. I remember I was at his first game because that's when I was living in Toronto, and I think they played the Net, or I kind of forget who they played, but I remember it was his first game in Toronto, like after the trade. And he didn't light the floor up, but he kind of picked it up, and he was huge in those playoffs last year. I know people were kind of dogging on him in the bubble, like you said. We're not really talking about the bubble here. We're talking big picture though. It sucks. Do you lose him to the Lakers? He's definitely an upgrade for that Lakers team. Would have been nice to still have him on our team, but it's kind of just the way the NBA goes, I guess. Like especially once these guys get older, like they want to see if they have another title in them for sure, right?
Yeah,
he took the vet minimum, bro. The equivalent of the vet minimum at $2.56 million per year for 2 years. So,
yeah, and but he does for that Lakers team. I understand for him why he'd want to go there outside of the ring possibility. I mean, he's probably going to get a lot of flack from their fans because Raptors fans gave him a ridiculous amount of stuff for this, but even though he's not mainly a scorer, he's a great off-ball player. He knows how to facilitate an offense, where to be, where the ball needs to be, and who needs to get it at the right time. So that allows Anthony Davis, who's not a fan of playing at the center spot during the season. He can play power forward, gets the ball at the three, whatever, takes his own mid-rangers, whatever it is, and Gasol won't complain. And I think that because of that, it's a really good fit for them as well.